before we get into the video of the run, I figured I'd take a moment and explain what Duel Masters is. It's an old TCG made by Wizards of the Coast, and the aim of the game is to destroy your opponent's 5 shields and then attack them one more time. Like most games, you win by summoning monsters to a field and then attacking your opponent. Not all monsters can defend you, you need ones with a specific keyword called blocker. Each successful attack on your opponent destroys one of their shields, which means that card returns to their hand unless it's got a trigger that allows it to be played instantly. So in most games we'll be aiming to hit our opponent 6 times to win the match. There's some themes you'll find in other card games like Summoning Sickness, blockers, but for the most part we'll be trying to play as many small creatures as possible just to get an overwhelming advantage. Unlike physical Duel Masters, we're limited to only 5 creatures on the field, and we'll be playing with the extreme rules turned on. These are rules unique to this version of the game, which means instead of us taking a turn and then our opponent taking a turn, we start to take turns simultaneously, with our creatures going on a cooldown until they can attack again or to clear their Summoning Sickness. We should be playing a lot faster than the computer, but for the most part the computer can also cause problems with interaction and the dropping early game blockers. Right, we'll take a quick look over our deck and then we'll get started. Since the time for the speedrun is pretty tight, we don't get the luxury of upgrading our deck as we go, so we're pretty much stuck with what our character's starting deck is. For us, the character Rusty's deck is a fire and water hybrid. We do have a few early game creatures to help us with the aggro strategy, but for the most part we don't really care about half the cards in our deck. Best case scenario, we'll be going play a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, but if we open hands that start at 4 or above, that's not ideal. We really want to see any of these first 6 cards in our opening hand, and ideally we'll see at least one of the 1-drops, but only having 2 of those in a 40 card deck is a bit rough. For the most part we don't care about any worse spells or any guys that cost more than 4. If we're having to play something that costs 5 or more, something's going wrong in that game. It's also quite unfortunate that 2 of our water creatures can't attack and are just there to be used as blockers, so in most games we will not even bother putting these into play. So in our 40 card deck, these are the only cards that we actually care about. Right, I think I've rambled enough, let's get into the actual video. Since I'm pretty bad at talking while focusing on a speedrun, I've decided to go back through this and just lay over some commentary. I'll try and let the game's dialogue have precedence, I guess, over me. So in between cutscenes I'll talk about whatever's going on, or during gameplay I'll try and explain some of my decisions.
Oh my gosh, is that Knight?
Knight? Who's Knight?
Who's Knight? He's only one of the greatest duelists of all time.
Wow, think we can get his autograph?
You can't just go up to the greatest duelist in the world and say,
Excuse me, Mr. Knight, sir, can I have your autograph?
Sure.
Thanks! Knight!
Hello again, Rusty. Have you been practicing?
Well...
Every great duelist must practice. There are several formidable duelists around. Perhaps you should challenge one of them.
I'll take on anyone!
There should be some duelists hanging out at the mall or the restaurant. Maybe you should look there. I must be going now, but I'll check up on you later.
Don't want to deprive the people of this amazing dialogue. So the core idea of the game is we're playing as a character that needs to go around but dueling other people in this area, and then finally we get given a quest.
Hey Rusty, I hear you're quite the duelist.
I'm the best!
Not yet, but you could be. You'll need better cards though. Here, I have a gift for you.
For me? I don't know,
Great cards mean the difference between winning and losing. I tell you what, how about we duel for it?
I mean, that guy definitely just screams stranger danger, right? Surely a blindfold gets in the way of you playing the actual game. So it's a bit of a strange one, right, but we can actually see our opponent's hand in the game. So it can give us an idea of what we should expect to be coming up, if we've got any blockers or any removal that we need to care about. As you'll notice, the creature we just summoned has the little cooldown wheel. We're just waiting on it to be able to attack. You'll quickly notice as well that my menuing is pretty awful. I find I just get complacent waiting on these wheels ticking down. Got to love a free removal spell from your opponent's shields. So there seems to be a universal clock for how long it takes for your mana to regenerate, and the more mana you have, it's still the same amount of time till you would go back to have it back at full mana. So you can find yourself in a situation where if you're only casting cheaper cards, it's still quicker to give yourself like 5-6 mana. It's a bit of a slow game for us here. We've actually put a 5-drop on the field. And one of those spells that we don't care about has came in handy and tapped our blocker. This game should be finished pretty quick. Yep, there we go. At the end of each game we get a choice of one of 3 cards as well, but we're normally rattling buttons so we don't really get a chance to pick.
See you later.
And that was my prize card for beating him.
You're a fire duelist, right?
I'm the best fire duelist!
Prove it.
Yeah, so each of the 5 characters follow a very similar story. They need to do a few duels, then they learn about a monk that specialises in their civilization. Fire, nature, water, darkness or light. And then the monk gives them a quest. Off the top of my head I couldn't tell you how many duels we actually need to do during the game. But there is a good number of cutscenes. We do have a timer running in the bottom right hand corner so you can see how we're getting on. As long as it's this kind of blue colour, that means that we're on an okay pace. If it ever turns red, it means we've actually fell behind what the world record is for the game. Normally if I was actively streaming you would see my splits at the side. That was a bit devastating, we just hit a complete board wipe from our opponent's side. Not something you want to have happen. So I've probably covered it in the intro, but not every creature in this game can defend for you. It has to be a specific type that says blocker. In this game it's got a little circle indicating that it has the blocker ability. So our general game plan is just to try and rush our opponent as quickly as we can. One thing we don't want to do is try and attack them while they're casting a spell. For some reason that just makes the computer lag a little bit. I'm saying make the computer lag, it makes the AI or the NPC take a bit longer making a decision. So we can actually buffer some inputs, that's why we didn't go back to the mall instantly there, we went straight to the overworld map, just by holding that button during the loading screen.
Greetings, Rusty. I am seeking the best fire duelist. Perhaps you can help me.
Of course I can! I'm the best fire duelist there is!
Are you? Then let us begin.
Not taking a piss, I would love one of these big long robes with like the icon in the centre that just spins. I would definitely wear that to locals for whatever game I was playing that week. Yeah, I got to have a hand with no cheap creatures. Luckily we drew into a 2-drop. I mean, we're never casting the 7-cost guy, and I'm upset anytime we cast a 5-cost one. I really wish this run was a little bit longer so that we had time to justify editing our decks. But since the time was pretty tight, like, there's no real need to, right? It's the time it takes you to grind for the cards that you would actually want in the first place. And then taking the time to put them in your deck, it's just not worth it. One thing we do need to be a little bit cautious of is when we use a card in our hand as mana, it only generates mana of that colour. So there a second ago we did have a 3-cost blue creature which would have been ideal for us to play, we just didn't have any blue mana available to us. Unlike physical Duel Masters where at least one of the mana you use on a creature has to be of its respective colour, as soon as we get a mana of that colour, all of our mana can kinda act as it. The game doesn't have like a tapping specific cards, we're paying for cards. And that's another game wrapped up.
You are the one I have been seeking. When you duel, you feel a surge of power.
I guess.
That power comes from the cards bound to the creatures who exist in another dimension. We monks seek to keep the bridge between the creatures' world and ours open.
Awesome!
Yes, but the bridge is in danger. It was tampered with and 5 creatures escaped into our world. One of them is a powerful fire creature that only a master fire duelist can control. This is my quest for you.
I'll do it!
Good. The key to controlling the creature lies in reassembling the 9 pieces of its card. Here I have the first one, but the rest have been scattered throughout the town. You must find them before it's too late.
No problem!
If only this were a simple task. Others will be trying to find them as well. If the creature got into the wrong hands...
Wrong hands?
The widow. But quickly, go and find the remaining pieces.
So every character basically has the exact same quest. The monk tells you about card pieces, you need to go and duel people to try and collect them.
Yeah, I found one of those fire card pieces. Why are they so popular all of a sudden?
Popular?
Caitlin was by here this morning asking if anyone had one. I tell you what, I want to get my ranking up, so I'll duel you for it. You beat me, you can take the piece. If I win, I get a big boost to my ranking.
Deal!
Yeah, so the entire time while running this, I basically sat with a document beside me that told me exactly where to go next. My memory's pretty awful for trying to keep track of these sort of things. There's been definitely a few thrown runs where I've accidentally went to the wrong location or started a duel with the wrong person. Anyway, it's always a good duel when you manage to open one of the two 1-drops. This is the biggest difference we'd like to make if we're building a custom deck for it. You'd play 4 of these guys and as many 2-drops as you could. So even though this blue creature we just played has the blocker ability, it's one of the few that can also attack. A lot of blockers in the game aren't allowed to block and attack. You also notice that the AI just doesn't play fast enough for this sort of mode. We were up to having 4 cards and 1 mana, they've got 2. You just get to kind of abuse them a little bit, which helps. Like, it's basically playing in the extreme mode opposed to regular mode, you're saving about 50% of the time. I think the only regular mode run that's on speedrun.com is about 14 hours. That was for the full game, so it was doing all 5 characters and the end game content. Another one down. I feel as though some of these loading screens are a bit longer than others. They definitely feel like they last forever when you're at mid-run.
Hello.
Rusty. Sarah, Jalen. Always a pleasure.
What? Not happy to see us? Well then, Marcus told me to bring you this piece of the fire creature card.
We don't
but
think you deserve it.
I want Rusty to have it.
Yeah, I want Rusty to have it too.
Wouldn't giving the card to Caitlin...
make more sense?
We're all part of the same team here, so it doesn't matter who has the pieces. If Rusty wants the piece, then we should give it to him.
Fine, but let's make this interesting.
I challenge you to a duel. If you win, you can have it.
You're on.
Yeah, so if you can't tell, these are quite clearly the bad guys. Or the bad team. There's one for each element to the game, similar to how there's 5 of us. Well, we have 5 different characters we can play as. They'll have like a signature rival, I guess. In Rusty's story arc, he's kind of getting deceived a little bit and they'll try to convince him he's a member of the team. This can be a particularly hard matchup. The Light Civilization definitely has access to the most blockers in the game and ways to tap with creatures. I've had a few runs reset here if they just manage to get a better board position than us early on. I mean, this one's going pretty well, right? We've got 2 guys in play, they don't have any blockers yet. The issue we find with most blockers is we don't have a good way to get through them. Only a handful of our creatures actually trade, are actually big enough to trade with blockers. So normally we're just running things at our opponent and hoping they choose to defend. When you defend with a creature in this game, it also taps it, unlike something like Magic the Gathering where the creature would remain untapped. All things considered, this has been a pretty lucky Caitlyn match. Funnily enough, that's Bosch's favourite card. I feel as though I say that in a lot of the videos that we've done recently.
Thanks for helping me get the card piece.
No problem. We're all on the same team, right? So it doesn't really matter who holds on to them.
Yeah, I guess so.
See, I want to help you because I think you have the potential to be the best. So you join our group.
But
Then it's settled. Welcome to the club, Rusty. And just to get you into the spirit of things, how about a little duel?
There was a bit of awful menu in there. I went to mana the 3-cost guy, but then noticed we had the 7 that we just wouldn't play at all, so it did make sense to take a second, but wasn't the fastest it could have been. Most of this speedrun is just sitting watching multiple different things on a cooldown, waiting to see which one you need to trigger next. Not only do the monsters we summon have a cooldown, well, mana bar has a bit of a cooldown, and then there's a cooldown around the character's portrait before we draw a new card and get the access to mana a new card. I really wish we could see the splits so we could get a good idea of how things are going overall right now. Even though the time isn't red, we could still be a little bit behind. Luckily the world record holder uploaded the splits so that we could just race directly against them. Though I'm pretty bad at remembering to hit the split button in each game. Normally I just have a singular time throughout the entire run.
Bring it on!
Yeah, I've got a card piece. Want a duel for it?
No! Hey! Give that to me!
I got here first.
So I think my personal best before this point was about 55 minutes, 56 seconds, 36 seconds. I don't actually remember off the top of my head. Maybe this is the sort of stuff I should have looked up before sitting down to talk. Well, this part of an hour. Right, little bit of an awkward hand. We don't really have anything to do other than play this guy on 1. Hopefully we get to top deck something very quick. I was completely mistaken. Personal best was 56 minutes 41 seconds. Antique Door Collector has the world record at 55 minutes 45 seconds. So we need to shave about a minute off our previous time. This game's going reasonably okay. Like, it's good that our opponent hasn't made Dark Mana yet, so they can't drop any of the 2 blockers that they're holding. Obviously if you were playing against a human they would have a little bit more common sense. They're dying, they need to get something in play. So no duel here, but we do have one of the best lines of dialogue that we get throughout the game.
Hey, we gotta talk.
Why, Trey?
I've seen you talking with Marcus. You can't trust him. People say he works for Widow.
You're just jealous because he sees potential in your little brother, but he keeps beating you. I don't see you giving me good cards so that I can win.
Duel Masters isn't about the cards, Rusty. It's about how you use them.
Then why don't you use them to win once in a while?
So that was Rusty's brother, Trey. His story arc starts off with him being on a bit of a losing streak.
Bring it on!
So he was just having to duel someone about a bit out of sequence. It's kind of hard to tell because of how quick we'll try to go, but at the end of each game you're getting given points towards your duelist rank. And we need 1 more duel's worth of points so that we can achieve whatever the next level is here. It was a bit of an awkward opening for us. We did have 2 3 drops that we wanted to play and a 1 drop, but 2 what other cards in hand were blue and we just didn't care about them, so we had to mana a card that we actually cared about so that we could play with 1 drop. Just could have went a little bit better for us. And now they've got an early game blocker. The only good thing about the darkness blockers is once they've defended once, they also kill themselves. So it's not like we're stuck fighting through this wall every however many seconds it is on the cooldown. Just getting hit with all the interaction here. I mean, there's another kill spell. quite punishing. And we're behind again. So you'll notice at the end of this game, these numbers will probably change back to being blue. Just due to when we're splitting, it's moving down to the next, like, time gap, I guess. Don't really know how to explain it to someone that's not familiar with it. But yeah, we're not doing great at the moment. Though this game is about to end.
Greetings, Rusty. You are progressing well.
Yeah.
Even with your skills as they are, you are still not ready for the tournament and the challenges that will come from it.
Well, I think I am.
Still brimming with confidence? How about a duel?
So Knight uses a fire and light deck, which can cause some problems for us if he establishes some early defense. I think I've seen at least one blocker in his hand there. Yeah, he's holding an emerald grass. And that's him got the light mana to be able to summon. Not ideal. We have got some damage in before he's managed to get it in play. No idea why he chose to attack a creature that was bigger than him. So in this game you can't normally attack your opponent's creatures, but if they're committed or tapped, you can. And for some reason the computer likes to suicide its guys every so often. You'd think it's a good thing that they're clearing their own board so that we can get in, but it also causes problems in the fact it's a little bit slow. Yeah, so the blocker's going to need to get committed here to defend this attack, and then the next guy can get the kill. Still in the red though.
You must now choose your signature creature card. Mastery of this card will grant you significant advantage against other duelists.
Wow, thanks! Having great cards means I'll be a master duelist in no time!
Cards, even signature cards, do not make the player. Your true skill must come from within.
Hey, Fire Clan! I'm from Nature Clan, and we're calling you out. Is anyone of you brave enough to duel me?
I'll duel you.
Rusty? Oh man, does this mean I have to go easy on you?
What do you mean?
Never you mind about that. Let's duel.
So the signature creature mechanic was quite cool. You basically get to pick one of 3 strong cards for whatever your character's main colour is, and then you can set it as your deck's signature creature. I believe it's like when you're down to 2 shields left, you can push one of the trigger buttons and it summons a creature, assuming you can pay for it. Sadly, it does require us going into deck editing to set the creature, and then also being in a situation where we have the mana and we've been taking a kicking before we can actually summon it. So it's not something you'll see come up in one of these speedruns. Playing against mono green's nice. For some reason, when the game was being designed, they decided that mono green and mono red just shouldn't have access to blockers. But we did just have 101 mana took off us, which has set us back a little. You can kind of see that the times when this almost pinkish red, opposed to being the hard red, it means that we're behind, but there's time in the current segment that we could make up. If it ever goes hard red, it means that we're beyond the time in that current segment. I think it's to do with like what your actual best time is for the segment versus what the time is in your PB or something. I'm not 100% on the ball myself with it, but just remember, red means bad. But this game's almost finished anyway. Sitting here trying to think of what duels we actually have left that are noteworthy. I'm sure in one next 2 areas the game's going to try and teach us some stuff. Like, there we go.
Rusty? You're looking for this card piece, right?
Yeah, I really need that.
Caitlin screamed at me when I wouldn't give it to her, but I don't see what the big deal is. I'll tell you what, if you spot me an extra shield and still beat me, I'll give you the card piece.
Yeah, we're like, what, 34 minutes into the game and the game's finally decided to tell us we can't have more than 4 copies of a card mod deck. There's a time and a place. It's a pretty great hand, especially considering our opponent's got an extra shield on us, so we need to hit them 7 times. Like, we have a 1 drop, 2 drops and a 3 drop. That's pretty good. They do have a unsummon spell in hand. I couldn't see any blockers. Unsummon effects are normally a little bit more impactful, but due to the mode we're in, like, as soon as that creature went back to our hand, we had the mana available to just summon it again. Also, I'm not sure if it's 100% correct, but the cooldown from being summoning 6 seems to be a bit quicker than the cooldown for being tapped. They might have actually done us a favour. think the next one's just another dialogue bit with no duel. Right, we'll go to the card shop. Some poor menuing, but yeah, we've went to the card shop.
Rusty, I need all of your card pieces.
What?
Don't worry, I'll give you some really good cards for them.
I can't give them up. The monk said...
Forget the monk. With these great cards, you'll be the best, and that's all that matters. Those card pieces are worthless in comparison. Besides, you're part of our group, so you have to help us out.
I don't know,
Great cards make the player. Make the trade.
Wait, no. Cards don't make the player. It's how you use them. I don't need your cards. And even if I did, I wouldn't abandon my quest.
Give me those card pieces.
Marcus, I'm going now.
You'll regret this, Rusty. Reject me as a friend, and you'll have to face me as an enemy.
Well, he's not happy.
Trey,
Hey, little bro, what's up?
I'm sorry about the stuff I said before. Marcus turned on me, just like you said he would.
You stood up to him and did the right thing. That's what's most important.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
You did good. So let's duel.
But I think after this one we've only got 5 more duels to go. If I'm remembering the sequencing correctly. This is looking good. The tray doesn't have any blockers in hand that I can see. We've got a 2-drop. Hopefully it's a relatively quick game because we're still a bit behind on time. I'm saying this, I know we have some time save coming up, so I know where we end. But we're definitely playing it down to the wire. So much for me saying it doesn't have a blocker, this one now. Just like most of the Yu-Gi-Oh video games, this game also has like a plethora of animations for your creatures when they're attacking or being attacked. Luckily you can turn all that nonsense off in the menu beforehand. It's quite weird though, the game won't save your menu set, or the game won't remember your menu settings unless you save. So especially when running the game, we need to put a memory card in and then remove it, either by slotting one virtually with an emulator, or physically removing the memory card from your game, or from your console, after you've saved the options. It's just a bit strange.
I think you're ready. Caitlin has the rest of the pieces, but you'll have to confront her to get them. This is one duel that you can't afford to lose.
Then I won't lose.
You can find her at the restaurant.
So this is going to duel our main rival for the last of the remaining pieces that we need.
Well, Rusty, it looks like we each have half the pieces we need to complete the fire card.
Why don't we duel for it? All of my pieces against all of yours. Best of 3 match.
All right, you're on.
In all fairness, compared to Marcus and the twins, she doesn't seem as bad as them. So it's hard to understand why she's working for Widow, but like her and Errol just kinda seem to be part of the group. Oh well. I mean, the run would have been faster if we weren't playing a best of 3, but we just need to win twice as quickly as we can. Similar to playing against the all nature deck, she's playing mono fire or mono red, so there won't be any blockers for us to worry about, but she might have some removal spells. So this is actually only one of a couple of Duel Master games that got released. There was a few on the Game Boy Advance, and there's a second one that never made it out of Japan on the PS2. But one of the guys from the Speedrun community, he was working on a translation for it, or at least a guide, that we could try running it. This is quite interesting here, right? They've just shield triggered a spell that would have killed everything on the field, but they choose not to use it because they don't want to lose the one guy. And that's game 1 out of the way. I think the main reason that I choose to run this one over any of the others is the convenience of the extreme mode. You're just playing the game as fast as you can. Even though the computer doesn't do much, you still have a bit of a challenge with the random early game blockers, or they can just hit you with a lot of removal, and I've definitely had runs that have just died because I've been beat, mostly by other fire decks that have just curved out better than this one. Game 2 is going pretty well, even with them having a little bit of removal. Got 4 guys in the field, 3 guys left. I think this is where we make a decent amount of time back up. I might actually need to see if Scott fancies recording some Duel Masters, like in person for the channel. Give me an excuse to look out at the decks that I have sitting in the cupboard. Especially since we seem to be out of the tournament season for universities at the moment. So just like the last time, we need to do a random duel here just to get some extra extra experience, so we can get to the rank of Master. But almost finished. It's a pretty bad hand, but we're getting there. I think the thing I find hardest talking during a run at least is I'm normally sitting muttering to myself or second guessing every decision that I make. I guess this is just where I get to learn a bit more context to what's actually happening in the game. Same again, they're running the guy into one of the tap guys. It's just, what are you doing? But we don't mind so much if we get attacked directly, because that just means we've got one more card in hand. I know I complained about removal spells, but we don't really mind this one. It costs them a shield to use it, so they need to like, discard one of their shields. It functions as a damage to them. It can be a bit brutal if we don't really have much going on, but if we've got a full field like that, then, you know, that's us at 1 master rank.
Welcome, Rusty. I see that both your training and your quest have been successful.
The battle with the creature is not to be taken lightly.
I am afraid I must test you before we can continue.
So this is us on our second last duel, and I've been here before and just been stomped by the Fire Monk. We're basically running the deck that we wish we were running, for the most part. I'm saying this like, it's mostly because they've got 4 of these 1-drops and 4 of each of the 2-drops in their deck. I think if we were really building a deck from scratch and had access to everything, we'd end up with like some fire nature hybrid. I think that's the first time we've seen it come up, but creatures in this can evolve. So you'll have like a creature that's type is an evolution creature, which means you need to play it directly on top of a creature of the same type. Just a little bit slow and you're kind of 2-for-1 in yourself. It's not ideal. Don't get me wrong, like, playing in paper, it's a completely different ballgame. There's some absolutely great evolution creatures, but For the run, we just don't care.
Little one, you think you can defeat me?
I'm not afraid of you or anyone! Let's duel!
Right, on to the final duel of the game. After this we do still have some menuing that we need to do. But our hand's looking okay, like, would have liked a 1-drop, but we've got a 2, 3, 4. Our opponent doesn't seem to have much going for them. I say this and then they draw a 1-drop, like, sure. But we shouldn't be particularly worried. I know it says we only care about half the cards in our deck, but it does mean that when we draw certain things, we know instinctively that that's going in the mana. So we don't have to waste time making a decision about it. That was pretty fortunate. We got attacked, hit a spell that let us draw 2 cards. And it's just drew us into a 1-drop and another 3-drop. We're going to be able to throw these out and overwhelm the board. One more attack and then we're just on to menuing. I say this, but we have like dialogue. We have dialogue here and then a bit of dialogue when we get to the next area.
You did it, Rusty. Congratulations. Only a true master duelist could have achieved this. You have learned much. Thank you for your help.
Awesome!
There are important battles in the tournament ahead. Prepare your deck, and when you are ready, find me in the tournament hall. Have you made all the preparations that you need for the tournament?
I'm ready.
Then I shall see you there.
And that's us. At the time of recording, that's record by about 10 seconds, 11 seconds. Quite chuffed with how that went. Hopefully the commentary was alright. Kinda struggled to sit here and talk for like an hour, especially since I knew what was happening. Next step's get this uploading and then stick it on speedrun.com. I'll definitely be back doing another one of these runs soon, as I need to reclaim Rebecca's record, I think it is. She starts as a water deck and for life I can't remember what she's partnered with. But till then, bye.